What's up, everyone? We're back with episode 25 of the Dub Jellison Podcast. And today I got a very special guest, UFC Bantamweight Osbourne. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How have you been handling this whole COVID pandemic in terms of your fight preparation and training and all that?
I honestly haven't. Everything's been on hold until further notice. So, I haven't really been on that scale of things really pretty much. But, I can't really say, but there's an announcement I'm going to be making pretty soon. I'm crossing my fingers for a fight here pretty soon. Crossing my fingers. So something's on the stove cooking right now.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait for you to put that out. But not only are you a UFC fighter, but you're also a teacher, a math teacher. I thought that was like when you came on the Contender Series is how I was introduced to you. And I was like, how is he like being a cage fighter and a math teacher? Just don't seem like they go together. So how did what?
They do actually for me because it's all about balance, man. That's life. You got to have the right amount of balance because for me, I'm very I have attention deficit, right? So I love doing all these different things at once. That's how I balance my mind and try to, you know what I mean? Otherwise, I kind of get bored of certain things. So at first it's tough at first when you first start doing two different things where you're waking up at 7, going to work, getting done at 4:35, leaving, going to the gym, training until 8:30. At first it's tough, everything's gonna be tough at first, but after a while, man, it just becomes another day in the office, and it's actually not that bad. It's like I said, it's all about balance. So when I go to school and I have a bad day at school, then I go to the gym and I let my frustrations out there. And when I go to training and I have a bad training session, the next morning I go to school and the kids greet me and then, man, it's all the love is there at the school. So they feed off of each other.
That's pretty cool. So what made you want to become a teacher, like in the first year going?
Actually, I'm an assistant teacher. So what started the whole process was I was training at this gym called Rufus Sport, and our training sessions were at about it was right smack dab in the middle of the day. 1:00 was our training session. So, looking for jobs at the time was so difficult for me because it was so hard to find a job that would like start at 8 and end at 12, or just start at 4:00 and end at like I don't even know, like 6:30 or 8:00 or even 9. So the closest thing I could find was this after school job. My wrestling coach actually was the dean at the school, and he tried getting me in as an assistant teacher to only teach up until 1:00, and then I can go train. But they were like they wanted a full-time position, so I didn't get the job. But they told me that there was a position open after school for the after school program called Extension, which was started at 3 and then it ended at 6. So that's what I started doing, man. I started leaving training so I trained from 1 to 3, and I left training at 3:00. I'd go right to school every single day from 3 to 6, 3 hours a day, and that was like my income at the time, just 3 hours a day working after school program. And for about a year, man, I just grew into it, and I just fell in love with the kids, and like we all worked so well together, and I just worked super hard on trying to put together the after school program. And I think I put together a pretty good after school program, and it was just me at the time. And the principal kind of was like, yo, this dude's dope. He put together a whole after school program, like a whole system. You know what I mean? Because when I was doing it, it was just like it was pretty much babysitting, right? And when I got there, I was like, nah, we ain't we're not doing this. We're not gonna be playing board games for 3 hours. We're gonna do our homework. We're gonna do some active functions, and then we could play. So I turned it into a whole like routine and schedule for them. And as soon as I did that, everything just flowed, man. It was such an awesome after school program. And then so what happened was there was a teacher that an assistant teacher that quit, and they needed a last minute fill in for only about 2 months until they can find a replacement. So they asked me, and I told them, well, yeah, but I got to leave at 1:00 for training. And they were totally cool with it because, there was nothing else there was nobody else at the time to fill in last minute. They only needed somebody for about, did I say 2 months? I meant 2 weeks. Sorry. They only needed somebody about 2 weeks. So I did it for 2 weeks, man. And like, parents straight up, like, they just didn't want me to, like, they didn't want me to leave their kid. They're like, they talked to the principal. It's like, yo, like, Mr. O is so dope with our kid. And my head's getting big right now. But he's like, the parents were like, yo, Mr. O is so dope with the kids, man. Like, we don't want him to leave. And so they offered me throughout the year. And I just killed it. Like, I killed it. This it was so awesome. Like, me and the kids formed just, I built a relationship with every single student, just like a grain of rice in, a bowl. Every single grain of rice I had an individual relationship with. So the next year, man, I ended up leaving that gym, went to a different gym. And when I went to a different gym, the practice times were much more manageable. It started at 4:30 or 5. So the school, obviously the school offered me a full-time position right away. And that's how I got my foot in the door, man. And I just been grinding ever since.
That's kind of crazy, honestly. I'm assuming you hadn't even thought about teaching up until that point.
No, not at all, man. Not at all.
Yeah. So, I think it's interesting to see how many guys that are coming into the UFC have side jobs like the welterweight Jeff Neal. Up until his last fight, he was waiting tables still.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you need that balance, man. You people don't understand. It's like a facade that you're in the gym every day and just whooping on people and just you have these great days every single day. That's not true. Not true at all. You got good days and you have bad days. And the bad you have, for me, I have like it's like 90-10. I have 90% of my days are good, 10% bad. But on bad days, 10% bad days will get to you sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But when it does, that's the part about being a professional athlete. You gotta like put them days behind you. And what really helps me a lot was the kids. Actually, they were so awesome and loving, man. It was so easy for me to just adapt to fighting, through the school, which was crazy to say, but that's what really helped me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that one teacher that just kind of like when you went into their class, you're automatically happy. It doesn't matter what you were doing. You could have a boring day, but that teacher just makes your day. And
I have a lead teacher in my classroom too. So I would definitely, we're biased. I'm biased. So I'm going to say that like all the kids look forward to coming to our classroom. I'm just going to say that. I'm biased, of course, but I'm going to say that they're not griping like, oh, we got to go to Mr. O and Miss Bryant's class. I think they have a mutual relationship with us. Like, it's a give and take. And I think they look forward to coming to our classroom. You can see it on their faces, you know what I mean? Like, because we look at them as kids, as children, and not robots, you know what I mean? We expect certain things out of them, but at the same time, there are situations where there are teachers that are just constantly on them all the time for stupid stuff, for being simply just kids. And I think we do a good job of just letting them be kids. We let them grow as kids, but we're not just making them robots and coming down on them for silly things.
I think that's important. I had a teacher in 7th grade. His name was Mr. B. He came out of college and was a teacher, and then he only taught 1 year, and then he became a minister or a preacher, some of that nature. And he was like, I've met up with him a couple times since then to go out to eat or whatever, catch up with him. And he's really like, he's changed a lot of people's lives that were in my class. Like during lunch, he wouldn't go sit with the teachers. He'd sit in his room, and then like 10 of us would go in there, and he had like a skills hoop. So we'd have a dunk contest, or we'd sit there and talk about sports or whatever. And it's like, he just connected with everyone so well. And I think it changed, it changed a lot of people's lives, and they looked forward to coming to school because they got to see him every day. because the way our school was set up, you had so people, there was like the grades were set up into teams.
Mm-hmm.
So like my team was, I think it was Liberty, but you had the same 5 teachers every day, and he was a social studies teacher, so you had him every single day, and yeah, I mean it changed my life.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I think that's what it's all about, is building relationships. I think it's so important to build relationships with the students, and I think I can relate to a lot of the students, man, because a lot of them, come from rougher backgrounds, so they need somebody they need someone that could understand them, because a lot of them go through that stuff, the same stuff that teachers yell at them for, the same stuff that parents are either yelling at them or not doing, what I'm saying? So they need somebody to simply just understand and talk to them, So I try to have a conversation with them instead of like yelling, I think they really respect that, and like I'm a kid myself, so I play, I go outside, we play football. I'm always messing around playing with them. Like, I'm a whole kid. I'm a whole kid at heart. Like in high school, I was voted kid at heart. So the kids really like they take to me. They do.
So what have been some of your like favorite experiences during your time as an assistant teacher so far?
Oh my gosh! Every year we go camping. I would say camping is my favorite experience. Every single year we go on a 3-day camping trip, like way, not way up north, but a little bit up north. And these are city kids. These are some city kids who never left the backyard of their house. And you're taking them into the woods, and it's just mind blowing. Like watching these kids do simple stuff like roll down a hill. You know what I mean? Like they roll down a hill and they're like, "Oh, this is so dope." I'm like, "Y'all never rolled down a hill before." So when you push the envelope now and you take them canoeing or horseback riding, oh my gosh, dude! Watching their facial expressions, like seeing these kids do things for the first time, and I'm able to walk and when it's when they go horseback riding, I'm able to walk them through, the emotion of it, because a lot of them are afraid. Because they're in the city, they don't know nothing about horses or any of that stuff. So I'm able to like see that and walk them through. And me and my other teacher were able to walk them through and kind of build that kind of that fear out of them a little bit. And then when they get on the horse for the first time and ride that horse, it's such an awesome, and they're like, "Whoa, like this is so much cool. This is so much fun." Like, what I'm saying? So definitely my favorite experience with them is camping. Every year we go to Camp Timberley. Every year in around September, and we do a whole bunch of like. It reminds me of when I was a kid. I used to watch this Disney show called Bug Juice, and it was just like these kids camping.
Oh, I've never heard of that one, but you're a lot older than me. Not a lot older than me, but yeah. I mean, I was gonna say that I was really afraid of horses when I was little, and we went to I forget the name of the campground, but they had horseback riding, and my mom still has a picture of me bawling my eyes out on top of this huge horse.
Oh man!
And it's terrifying. They're huge.
They're huge.
When you're what 10, 9, 10. I mean you think you're gonna fall off automatically, but do your students watch your fights, or do you talk about that at all during the school day?
I try to like have a disconnect on both ways, but my students do. They talk about it every once in a while, and you know what I mean. They a lot of them. I would say only a handful of them like really talk about it, but most of them like they really don't even care. Like they treat me just the same as anybody else. Usually you'll have a new student, man. If you got a new student that comes on board, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, Mr. Oh, you in the UFC?" Like, "Oh," and they're going to nuts. And at the beginning of the year, same thing. In the beginning of the year, you got a group of new students that come and they're going nuts. And then after a week, they're just like, "All right, okay." And then they start giving me a hard time after a week. They don't even care anymore. But I try to disconnect from fighting when I'm in the school. I have a completely different like channel of mindset, compartmentalization going on when I go to school versus when I go to the gym. Even when I'm at the gym, as soon as I leave the gym, I don't talk about fighting. I don't really watch fighting. I kind of do my own thing. when I'm in school. I don't really talk about same concept, man. It works both ways. So I would say we don't really talk about fighting that much at school, but I'll show them my fight videos. They'll pull it up on themselves. They'll go home and watch it. They've gone home and watched me fighting. They all watch my videos when I would say every time I fight live, they watch it.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do if I had a teacher that was a cage fighter or whatever,
Man,
but it would be pretty nuts.
Right? It would be so cool, like in the future. Like one of my long-term goals is being able to be at a position where I could just fly all my students out to Vegas or something like that to watch me fight. That would be so dope, man. That's like a dream of mine. It really is.
Can they get into the UFCs? Is there an age restriction at all?
No, I don't think so. I think there's like kids that go.
Oh, because I was supposed to go to the Columbus card in March, but everything went on.
Yeah. Let me take that back. Let's not say Vegas because I don't know if they can get into Vegas. Let's take that off the table. Let's say I don't know, UFC Wyoming.
Yeah.
So a little more like PG. So I would love to fly them out, man. I really would.
Well, if they had one in Milwaukee, would you?
Oh,
would you
definitely.
try?
Yes.
That'd be sick.
Yes,
that'd be super dope.
They had one in Milwaukee last year.
When you were signed?
No, I wasn't signed at the time. Yeah, I wasn't signed.
Was that the Ngannou JDS fight, or was that in Minneapolis?
No, I do not remember. I just remember. I know I had one teammate. His name is Zach Otto. He fought Green. What's his name?
Bobby Green.
Yes, and then he fought Bobby Green on that card. And then what was the main event on that? I don't even remember the main event for that card. But
you know what? I can try to look it up.
Yeah, I cannot remember the main event for my life. But I remembered I had a couple of my old teammates from my other gym was fighting as well. Sergio Pettis was fighting on that card. Let's see who else. Jordan Griffin. Who else was on there?
Was it Kevin Lee and
yes.
Ally?
That's what it was. Yeah, Kevin Lee, Ally Quinta. Yep.
Yeah, I started watching the UFC. Actually, the first one I'd seen, I think I saw UFC 200, 214, and a couple other fight nights sprinkled in there because one of my best friends, his dad likes the US or MMA, and I never really paid attention to it. Like we'd go over there on Saturdays, and they'd be watching the fights. I'd be outside in their backyard playing basketball. I didn't really care.
That's how I am right now, man. I really don't watch fighting that much, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because, man, the way my life is, I think during quarantine especially, I feel like I've accomplished so much. Just during this time frame, I've accomplished so much. And I feel like I've accomplished more now than I have outside of quarantine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because I have all this time to do things. I have so much time to, for one thing, I build my credit score. I built a garden, started gardening. Learned the Forex the foreign exchange market, the stock market. Learned how to fish, so I've been going fishing. Man, I've done so much, so I don't really have time, man. I really don't like watching fighting because, Jamaicans have a saying, right? There's a famous saying in Jamaica, and the saying is, man, they eating already. That's the saying. They eating already, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
So that means, all these fighters are making, so much money right now fighting, right? So much money. I'm in the UFC. I'm not even close yet to making what they're making because I just got signed. So I don't really. Why would I watch? For me, it's like, I don't know. I got so much time on my hands. I'd really rather do something more productive and build myself towards branding myself or making money rather than idolizing them and daydreaming about what it could be like to make that money. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm a go-getter. I'm like, I don't want to watch you. I'm about to be that.
Yeah. I've been doing a lot of podcasts. Like when I first started it in August of 2019, and I was really inconsistent with it. Like I'd go like a month without doing one, and then I do 3 in a week, and then I go another month without doing them. And I mean, this quarantine has really allowed me to get focused, and I've kind of created a plan for like the rest of 2020 going into next year, how I want to build things, what things I want to change. And I've been doing like 2 or 3 a week now, and I get a chance to talk to you.
That's cool, man. That's what it's all about, man. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I get the chance to talk to like guys like you. Brendan Fitzgerald's coming on, UFC commentator. He's coming on next week, and then I talked to it's actually my favorite fighter. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and so is he. His name's Jordan Williams. He was on the Contender Series a week before you, I believe.
Okay.
And he got screwed out of the decision, and Dana said that if the judges got the decision right, that he would have got a contract, but he didn't get the contract. He's got another fight lined up that he texted me. I can't say it, but he also trains with the Diaz brothers. So that's
okay.
Cool.
That's cool, man. That is cool. That's cool, man. It's a lot of opportunities out here to get into the UFC. You just gotta want it, man. You just gotta work for it. That's it. And especially in society today, there's so many opportunities for everything, man. Like, and I didn't have all these opportunities when I was a kid, because of certain situations that I was in. But now as I'm older, I'm able to have these opportunities laid out for me, and I'm able to go get it. So that's the mindset, man. It's a pawn takes king mentality that you have to have. You realize you're a pawn in a king's game. I'm not talking about just the UFC, just in life in general. You're a pawn in the king's game, and I've been like really getting into forex, man. And they talk foreign exchange, the market, and it's definitely talking about a pawn versus king mentality, and that's what you got to have. Pawn takes king. That's the mentality you have to have in this world, man. To be able to be the best. Be the best. You understand where your position is, and what's the next step in order to get to that next higher up position to get to that king. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to get to that king. So I think quarantine. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Keep going. I was just saying quarantine has helped me really sit down and intellectualize. I don't even know what's the word. I'd sit down and just what's the word I'm looking for? Just think about. Yeah, just think about what it is that I want to do and the route that how I want to get there. And I've used this time really wisely. I'm not instead of sitting at home and bitching about why I'm quarantined. Why we're not outside, or why it's not opened up and stuff like that. I use the time and try to build myself and try to use the time to focus in on the things that I want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people have been doing that. Like a lot of my friends have been picking up different hobbies, things they want to get better at. And I think that to keep yourself sane in this whole situation, if you're just sitting there watching YouTube all day, you're going to get depressed and you're going to get in that sad state.
Yeah.
If you have something to do, something to work for, my school's done now, so I have a lot more free time. I'm going to be a lot more bored. But if you have something that you're kind of chasing that you want to get better at, this is the best opportunity you have. So you have all the time in the world, especially in my situation because I'm just a kid still.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. Keep doing what you're doing, man. If you love, my thing is, I told you before on Instagram, man. As long as you love to do this, as long as you have a passion for it, man, do it as long as you want. Do it for the rest of your life. If you're not waking up every day doing what you love or aspiring to do what you love, then why are you living? Why are you working a job that pays you $1,000 more, but you hate it? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I'd way rather take $1,000 less and be happy. That's my mentality, man. I'd way rather take that job and just being happy. There's no money. You can't put money on being happy. So from me to you, man, if you love this and you want to do it for the rest of your life, just work towards it, man, and just aspire to be the best podcast commentator there is.
Yeah. For sure, that's the goal. The end goal I mean, I guess would be to work for myself, just have my own like YouTube channel or whatever, and make money off that. But going back to like kind of how I got started watching the UFC, the first one I really remember sitting down and caring about was 232 with John Jones. John Jones got to, and Amanda Cyborg. And that just made me fall in love with it. So I was like, I was looking online, and there's a big gap between that card and the it was Cejudo Dillashaw. It was the first card in 2019. So I was just researching everything, trying to look up old fights, got Fight Pass, ESPN Plus, all that stuff. And I started watching, I forget which episode it was first, but I saw Joe Rogan, and I'd never really heard of him before. I started watching his podcast, man, and then I saw like that's so like that really. I mean, if I ever meet him, if I ever meet him, I mean, he's like I have a flag of him right here. I can't turn the camera around, but I mean, I've told people like if he ever came on my podcast, I'd just retire. That's the pinnacle. Like he's the GOAT. He's the best.
He is the GOAT, man. He's like he's one of my favorite people. One of my favorite people to listen to.
Mm-hmm. He's just so personable, and he has such an open mind that like he can, like recently he's had on people that are far right or far left on the political scale, and like he can do that because he's open minded, and I think
I would say that's how I am as a person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not far right nor far left. I really don't. I'm not about politics. I say that all the time. Like it's no secret. Everybody knows it. You know, because I'm Jamaican, man. Like in my country, like Bob Marley, like got shot for what he for preaching that stuff, preaching peace. You know, and I just don't. For me, it's more of like I can't see any peace between two sides that were created to hate each other. I can't see any peace at all. There's no peace ever. It's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen because that's what it's created for. It's two sides, and they're created to hate each other. As much as people want to say the opposite, but that's me, and that's to each his own. I don't like. I got roommates who are super into politics, and I love that for them because that's their thing, and they're, you know what I mean. That's their passion. So I always say, man, do your passion, do what you do. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't judge anybody for what they do. I just know what I do and what I like and what I believe in. And I believe I'm a huge believer in God, and I talk about it all the time. And that once again in the Jamaican culture, that's a huge thing, man. It really is. I can't, it's what's brought me from through the mud. I feel like God's walked me through the mud to right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's real. I mean, I thought that this whole situation would kind of bring people together, maybe, and make people think about if shit hits the fan, we all got to work together.
Exactly.
Whether you like it doesn't matter. You're gonna have to work together, get through all this.
Yep. We need to go back to that.
Created more.
We need to go back to the preamble. Yeah. We the people.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of created more of a divide, in my opinion. Well, if you look on social media and things like that,
it has. Definitely has. But the thing about it is, man, here's the thing. Here's the perspective of it. We all want the same thing, and as soon as both sides understand, I think one side, in my opinion, one side's a little more whack than the other side, but we all want the same thing. It's like we all want the same thing, man, for real. Like two people fighting over how to cut this potato, and at the end of the day, we all want the potato cut. That's it. We all want the potato cut at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that are super far right and friends that are super far left, and they try to get me in all this nonsense, and I'm like, dude, I don't really care. Like it doesn't affect me. Like,
and people will make you feel, and people will make you think that it's that there's something wrong with you for not.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't fall into that, man. Don't fall into that.
Yeah, I mean, my parents really aren't into politics. They don't, like, my dad watches the news, I guess, like the local news.
Yeah.
Just to see what's happening. but he's not super engaged in politics. And
Yeah,
I think that
my mom's a Democrat. You know, I'll say my mom is like she's for the Democrat. You know what I mean? So we kind of like I think we kind of have different views on that sense because I don't even want to hear it. Like I'm just like I'm my own person. I don't know where I get my personality. I think I get that from my dad maybe. I don't even know. But
yeah, I think I got I talked about this on the last podcast. I feel like I got lucky in the fact that my parents really aren't super into something that's controversial. It's maybe just like more open minded than a lot of people in my community. It's more of like, I mean, we're not rich, but like upper middle class, and a lot of people have the same views. And if you don't have the same views, percent of people that live in my community, you're kind of looked down upon, in my opinion.
For real though, no, I agree 100%. It's hard for people to see another side, another view. For instance, yesterday I talked about, you know, us black people. We say Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. We're not saying Black Lives Matter more than any other life. That's not what we're saying. All we're saying is that Black Lives matter enough to not be taken from society. That's it. Nobody's saying Black Lives matter more than anybody else's lives. All we're saying that Black lives just matters. It just matters enough. It just matters to not be taken. That's it. But it's crazy if you explain that to somebody else. They cannot understand that. And they come and combat it with all lives matter. You know, they still come back with all lives matter. They don't understand why that's offensive. The reason why they don't understand is because of their political views.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people, they're just so stubborn, and it's kind of the way they've grown up. I think that we're going to get past that point where a lot of people, especially in this whole racial situation, I guess you could call it. I think more and more people are going to, as the older generation, as they pass away, I think more people are going to understand, like, you know, that everyone's equal. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me plug my phone in real quick. All right, you keep talking. I'm just plug my phone in real quick. My laptop's about to die.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah, man, I agree with you 100% on that, man. I wish that more people would just try to take the time to understand people instead of trying to combat everything with something else. You know, and that's that stubbornness, man. I don't understand where that comes from. Why people are so stubborn trying to combat everything else. Like I don't get that. It breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart because, man, I've lost friends that I was real good friends with, like really, really good friends with, like, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I don't even care if we're friends anymore, man, because the political views have taken over a lot of my friends and the stuff that they say, and their mind, you know, the stuff they talk about, and it's just super insensitive. It's stuff that affects me, and I just had to, you know what, man, I can't do it. And that's the thing. Bob Marley always talked about. He preached. He was so adamant about that stuff, man. Bob Marley was so adamant about that stuff. How we can't be one. We can't be united with all this stuff going on. We can't do it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also like getting back to how people are raised. If you aren't around different people that have different views, if you're just around the same people that have the same exact views as you, you're gonna be less open-minded than others.
I agree.
I mean, one of the great things about Purdue, the school I go to, is we're so diverse. It's everyone. Yeah. So I have really good friends that have come from I have a friend from South Korea, China. There's a kid in our house from India. I think it's Malaysia.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man. That's really, and it's crazy because being a part of diversity is understanding another person's view or culture. Or if you go to a different country, and we in America think that, you know, English is it. Like, English is the language, And grammar is so hard to learn. Like, it's one of the hardest languages to learn. But I guarantee you, if you go to England, they're looking at you write a paper and you turn it in to a professor from England. They're gonna be like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this?
I'm supposed to have on. So recently, I've been following a lot of people on my podcast account to try to help grow that or whatever. And I followed this kid from Ireland. And he followed me back, and he DM'd me, and he was like, "What's up, mate? If you ever want to talk MMA or boxing, I'll come on." So we're trying to get that.
Cool.
We're gonna set that up when McGregor gets his fight lined up.
That's cool.
So
man.
hopefully,
No, go ahead. Yeah, I love people. I love Irish people. My favorite. I would say my favorite people are like New Zealand, Irish, Australians. Man, especially like them New Zealanders and the Australians. Man, they are the nicest group of people you'll ever meet. You ever met a New Zealand person, like a Swedish person or an Australian? Man, them mugs are so nice. They are so nice, man. They're so nice because they got like virtually no violence in their country.
yeah, they're just chilling.
Yeah, nicest group of people, man. I love that.
I do like one of my favorite one of my favorite fighters is Darren Till, and I love him when he's talking trash. I think it's so funny. Him and Connor.
It's hilarious, man.
The way they say things.
It's so funny. It's so funny to me.
So I want to talk about kind of your path to the Contender Series and where you're at now. So, like, how did you begin fighting, and how did that lead to getting the opportunity to go in the Contender Series?
Oh, man. I'm going to try to make this story as short as possible. Because if I get into the whole how I get into fighting thing, we're gonna be here for a while. Okay. So I'll just say I started wrestling in high school in Florida, and then I moved to Wisconsin to wrestle in college. Then I got into MMA because my wrestling coach, which is also my high school wrestling coach, then moved to Wisconsin and became my college wrestling coach. Then now moved into my fighting career, and it's also now my fighting wrestling coach. So I've been with him since I was 14. I'm blessed. He, you know what I mean? We got a really good relationship. So got into fighting with him, and one thing led to the next, man. And been grinding ever since, man. It's been a tough road, man. It's been the road to fighting. Honestly, when I'm able to retire, I really would not want my kids to get into fighting. If they want to do it, so be it. You know what I mean? That's what they want to do. But I wouldn't want them to get into it just because I know what it's like. You know what I mean? I want to do this so my kids don't have to. It ain't easy, man. It ain't easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely takes a physical toll on you.
Not even just that.
I mean, the mental toll might be worse.
Yeah, the mental toll is, dude, it's horrible. If I didn't have my wrestling coach I lived in my wrestling coach's basement throughout pretty much my fighting career, because it was you're either 100% in at training or not. You can't, it's not 70-30 or anything like that, or you won't be successful. So if you don't have, parents to support you, you're pretty much set up to fail as a fighter, because how are you going to make a living? You know what I mean? Yeah. You can't make a living and train. 100%. It's hard. It's tough. People do it though. People work, like at my gym, man, dude, people work. Montel Jackson, he's in the UFC. He's my teammate. He works like third shift everyone. He still has like a third shift job, man.
Is he really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he still works. Still works.
He won last fight, right?
Yeah. Yep. He is. I want to say he's 4-1 in the UFC, or 4-3, or he's either 4-1 or 3-1. I'm not totally sure. I think he's 4-1, but I don't remember.
Did he fight in 2020? Was that the Norfolk? I don't know.
He last
I forget what card
was in UFC North Carolina.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I remember he had a good fight.
Yeah, he did.
He's a beast.
He is, man. I think we both have the longest reach in the UFC in our weight classes.
What's your reach?
My reach is a 70. What am I? I don't even know, dude. I really couldn't even tell you right now offhand. But I know I'm like number third. I'm number 3. He's number 1 in the reach. We have extremely long reach. I'm gonna Google it. I'm like, I don't want to. I will say I think I know, but I don't want to give you wrong information. You feel like I would know my own reach, you know what I mean? But I actually just discovered a year ago that I had super long reach. No joke. Like a year ago, they were like, "Yo, you got long ass arms." I was like, "Really?" They were like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, word, bet. Okay, cool." Reach. Let's see. Let's see if it's on here. What my reach advantages?
On UFC?
70. I think 74-inch reach.
Damn. And you're 5'7".
Oh, this one says 73-inch reach. Yeah, 5'7". Yep.
So that's like 6'1" maybe.
Yeah.
And your reach.
Yeah, my reach is ridiculous, man. There's a picture. There's a picture of me weighing in on the scale, and my arms are out, and everybody's just like, "Dude, your arms are so long, it's ridiculous." Let me see if I can find it. I'll flip my camera around.
At 246.
Here it is. I'll flip my camera around so you can see it. I can figure out how to. Nope, that took a picture. Didn't do that. Hold up, let me see. There we go. Did my arms just come all?
You look like a bird like that.
Dude, so yeah, my arms are so long, and I had no idea that my arms were that long because I'm born with my arms, man. It's not something you analyze. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Let me see if I can flip the camera back around. There you
go. I showed my mom when you responded to me. I showed my mom. It was like that picture, but a different angle, and she looked at the she looked at the bulge in your pants, and she goes, "What the heck is he doing?" She hates fighting. I don't know why. Just because when she watches it, she's like, "Why do you watch this stupid stuff?" But I love it. I don't care. So what was it like fighting at 246 on like such a big card and being in the?
It was nerve-wracking a little bit, but it was like I was meant to be there. When I say nerve-wracking, I don't mean like it was like, fighting. It wasn't nerve-wracking to fight in the cage, but it was the anticipation of everything because everything is so precise. Everything is like calculated. You have to, everything was just like you have to do things. Things were laid out for you. Like when you got there, you had to check in here. Then you had to go there, do this. Then you had to do that done. You got to do there. Then you got, so it was just like anticipating what's next. All right, what do I got to do next? They give you a whole like agenda of things you got to do and things to look for. And that part was, it's a little overwhelming getting, you know what I mean? Like anticipating what's to come. Oh, before you hop on the scale, you got to step on this red X here. Then you wait. And then after that, then you got to do this. And then, so that was the most like nerve-wracking part was just all the anticipation was giving me so much anxiety.
Yeah, I was super excited when I saw that. I forget which fight. It might have been Grasso and Delia that fell off the main card. And they bumped you and Kelleher up. And I was super pumped. Me and my buddy that, he knows MMA more than anyone I've ever talked to. That's not a fighter, coach, or anything. And we were super pumped.
That's what's so excited.
So did you, going back to Rogan, did you have a chance to meet Rogan when you were there?
I did not have a chance to meet Rogan. I know he commentated for my fight, which is awesome. He, I went back and watched it, and all he could talk about was how fast I was, and I thought that was like, I was like, that's cool, man. I was like, I really didn't get a chance to really display my speed. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I didn't get. I wanted people to see actually how fast I really am. So I hope, I'm looking forward to this next coming fight to really get a chance to display my speed, because I'm fast, man. I'm fast.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a spider monkey.
Dude,
That's
for real,
what
I'm
someone
surprised
said.
myself when I watch my fight videos. I'm like, I surprise myself at how fast I am. Like,
Yeah, your reflexes are insane. That it was an armbar, right, on the Contender Series that you
yeah,
pulled off. That
yeah.
was nuts. That was nuts. I try to follow I guess follow one person on each week of the Contender Series that I like, and for that week I followed you, and I was like,
Cool.
this dude's gonna be champ. I don't know. I just felt it in my
Dude, that's what's up, man. I feel the same thing, man. I feel the same thing, and I've been saying that. People think it's arrogant to say like, "Oh, I'm gonna be the fight to watch on the McGregor card. I'm gonna be this." People think it's arrogant, but it's not arrogance, man. When you come from where I come from, where I grew up in Jamaica since I was 9, and when you come from that, when you come from certain situations, you learn you have to think of yourself as the best always, or you'll never make it. That's that mindset
yeah
you have to have. I'm telling you that pawn takes king mentality mindset. You have to have that in order to be the best. Otherwise, the world will swallow you whole.
yeah. You have to. I think you have to have a chip on your shoulder. I mean, it could be
Yeah,
big or small.
exactly. Just being it's a balance. You can't have too much of a you can't be cocky. You can't
Yeah,
be. There's a difference. I think there's a difference. Like whenever fight week comes up, I feel like that's where I'm like really like that chip is just it's there. I'll say fight month. Whenever it's time to fight, that's when I'm like I'm dialed in.
mm-hmm.
And usually I'm pretty humble. I would say I'm not humble dude when I am fighting though, not at all.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think really anyone is.
No, it's like it's a
You.
switch though.
Hey.
You hit that switch and you're in.
Mm-hmm. One thing I wanted to talk about was how much tape do you watch on your opponents, and then how do you implement what they do into your training camp? Zero.
Zero, none. My coaches watch all the tape. They
Oh,
watch all the tape and they implement it. They take notes. They do all that stuff and they do it for me. I don't have time for that stuff, but I do have. I can make time to watch tape.
mm-hmm.
I don't because it's. I have before. Don't get me wrong. I've watched tape, and was it beneficial? Not really. It just made me more cautious of that person. Like, oh, he's got a nice right hand. I got to watch out for that, and it makes me kind of hesitant on doing what I want to do. And you know anything about me? I'm a my last fight. I would say I wasn't very patient, and that's the one thing because I'm typically a patient, calm, zen
Mm-hmm.
fighter where I'm just kind of, you know what I mean. My strikes are quick and I'm explosive, but
Yeah.
I'm also like dialed in. I think my last fight I was a little overzealous. I wanted to get it. I wanted to finish it so fast that I kind of got away from that patience. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man, I don't really watch any film going back to that, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I think it takes me out of my element. And I like being in my element.
Mm-hmm. I just kind of wanted to get a perspective because, like other sports, like football or whatever, you watch a ton of film. I didn't know
Yeah.
what I think there's different
No, my
perspectives.
coaches all do. They all
Yeah.
do, and they all take notes, and they all, which is, I train for certain things. I train to do certain things. My coaches all we got a whole film room, and they sit down, and they take notes. They say, this is what you need to work on. This is what he's gonna do. This is what you need to do. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That
We got a whole system. It's cool, man.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So the fights last night, did you get a chance to see those? Or at least like the
I
main
did.
main?
I typically don't watch fighting that much, but whenever there's fights that I really want to see, like, when 35-pound fights, because I am in the 35-pound division, sometimes I watch, every once in a while I watch it. And I think Dominic Cruz has the highest fight IQ in all of the UFC, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
If his athleticism, like if he had the athletic abilities of, he's super athletic. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, let me take that back. But if he was built like Cejudo or Mighty Mouse, then nobody can stop him because that dude is so gifted. Like his mind is so sharp, it's ridiculous. So that I called it, man. I called both those fights. I said that I said that Dominic Cruz was going to lose mainly because Henry Cejudo is a gold medal Olympian, and he's so compact. He's so compact and tight. And Cruz gets, he's upright a lot of the times. And I thought Cejudo was going to kind of push him into a situation where he's not going to want to be. But Dominic Cruz he's so intelligent, man. That fight could have gone either way. It really could have. It could have gone either way. It's just so intelligent. Both those fighters, man. My hats off to both those guys. They're both two really amazing fighters.
Yeah, I kind of wanted Cruz to win, just because I thought it'd be a cool story. But yeah, when you were talking on Instagram, you said that you picked Gaethje and Cejudo to win both the fights.
Yeah, because the same mind that Dominic and what's his name? Dominic and
Tony Ferguson.
Tony Ferguson, both they're upright. You know what I mean? And when you have somebody that's a monster like Gaethje and Henry Cejudo that will come down the pipe right down the middle with that compact strike, you can't. If you're facing off with somebody, and it's like rock versus paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, rock is gonna win because there's so much more force coming from Gaethje and Henry Cejudo than Dominic and Ferguson are more. They're upright. They stand. Anybody knows anything about posture? The more upright you are, the easier it is for you to get knocked backwards or drop backwards or push back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The easier it is for you to like if I play football and you got the aim of the game is standing somebody up when you're tackling somebody. You got to stand. You like a shark. You come from the bottom and you attack them, stand them up. But just like Diaz versus Masvidal, I said the same thing was going to happen with that fight because Diaz is an upright fighter and Masvidal is just compact. He's compact. There's differences. Like you got somebody like Anderson Silva, that's complete. He is an exception to the rule. He's a whole exception to the rule. Same with John Jones, man. You got those freak of natures that just is. But when Anderson Silva fought, I guess Chris Weidman, compact fighter with skills. Eventually, you got I try to do both. I try to be elusive and I try to take your head off at the same time. Controlled aggression is what I call it.
Yeah. Who do you think should fight for the title now that Henry says he's retiring? I'm not sure if he actually is.
I think Dominic Cruz should get it, man. I think Dominic Cruz and I don't even know, man. I really don't. There's so many people. If I'm biased, I would say like, I don't even know. I really don't. I'll be like my teammate Montel Jackson in there. Put me in there. But no, I'm too new. I got ways to go. But no, I really don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't know.
I'd like to see Aljamain Sterling get a shot.
Yeah, I would too.
I think
that's a cool one. My time is far off, and I got ways. I'm not nowhere near title shot yet, and I'm playing. I only had one fight so far, man. I got time, man. I got time. I gotta get my my first contract over with. Sign my second contract, and then we can talk. But right now I'm just focused on the task at hand. Remember, it's a pawn to king mentality. You gotta go through the rook and the knight and everything else before you get to the king.
Mm-hmm. For sure. You've seen people like Sean O'Malley. They kind of put on a fast track. You get 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying right now, right? Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I definitely see myself doing. I can see myself doing some beyond that fast track as well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I would love to. You know what, man? I would love to fight him later down the road. That's somebody that I always wanted to fight because he's just so gifted. You know what I mean? He's so gifted. He really is. His IQ is awesome. He's gifted, and I would love to have an opportunity to fight him. Like that would be a true blessing test for me You know what I'm saying? Because I always want to fight the best. I want to fight Henry Cejudo. I want to fight the best people all the time. But right now, I gotta get through the other pawns in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I think that fight would be insane. I think it'd be nuts.
Yeah, man.
So I hope that's come together. So I've held you for an hour. I'm sure you're a very busy man. I'm not going to hold you anymore. But thank you so much for coming on. It was really fun.
No worries, man. I appreciate you having me on. My only request is that you pass on the goodness on to somebody else. You know, someone asks for a favor, you pass on the goodness, and you tell them to pass on that same goodness too. You know, we passing on gratitude. That's my drive is passing on gratitude.
All right, for sure, man. You got it.
All right, man.
Thanks,
you have a good rest of your day.
You too.
All right.